Good evening, folks. This is Ken here at Garden Gardens. Hope y'all doing well tonight. I'll wait and see if anybody comes online. Hey, we got one viewer. It's Clean. Woo! How are you doing tonight, Clean? And Brandon Rogers. Good evening, Brandon, sir. How are you this evening? Uh, I know it's bad for me. I've been to the doctor about different things. He asked me how long I've been smoking. He says, well, it's only Thursday where you are? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what it's going to be like on Friday. It's going to be the same thing as it was Thursday, only it's going to be one more day of your life. I'm doing great, Clean. I'm doing great. Don't have any complaints. Well, maybe. Um, I've got uh, diabetes, which a lot of millions of people have. And I got these things with my legs. Below the knees, my legs swell up. So the doctor recommended these particular kind of socks that they kind of grip your legs and it helps keep your legs from swelling up. And they work pretty good. And but like I was starting to tell you about cigarettes and going to the doctor, every time I go to a doctor, he says, "Oh, that's because you're a smoker." Well, I've been going to the doctor regularly to for blood checkups, things like this. And he says, "You're doing great. Everything looks fine." And I says, "Maybe that's because I'm a smoker." I've been smoking about 68 years. And okay, brother. We'll see you later, Clean. And God bless you, my friend. And come back often. I got this cough, but that's, you know, everybody that I know has a cough. Um, and it shows two people online and A.G. Wild. Yeah, I saw your video to me and that looked good. I believe it was you that sent it to me. Yeah, I know. Everything is considered COVID and everything is Trump's fault. You know? And I don't know if you heard about it or not, but Dr. Fauci or Fucci or whatever his name is, he's got COVID. And I find that kind of ironic because he had all the COVID shots and all the booster shots, and then he got COVID. So that tells me maybe he don't know what the hell he's talking about. But anyway, I don't want to get on the politics side of things. Yeah, he's got all kinds of vaccinations and and all the booster shots and all that stuff, and he gets it. Oh, AG. Well, John Wayne was a camel smoker too, and they claim that's what killed him was lung cancer. But I can remember seeing, I think it was on Field and Stream magazine. On the back of it, there was a full-page ad with uh, with him smoking camels, and he said, I'll smoke camels for the rest of my life, and I'd walk a mile for a camel." And he did. He smoked camels for the rest of his life. I'm not saying that smoking's good for you, because I wouldn't recommend any young person to start smoking, but it hasn't caused me any illness or disease or anything like that. In fact, one time I went to a doctor and he x-rayed my lungs, and he told me, he says, if you ever tell anybody I told you this, I'm going to come after you. But what he told me was he didn't see any signs of any kind that I had ever smoked a cigarette. No signs whatsoever on my lungs. So, that's telling me something anyway. But back to gardening, um, due to me being sick and my legs hurting and everything, that's the only thing that only symptom of diabetes that I have is that my legs hurt. And sometimes if we go someplace like grocery store or something like that, I have to use a cane to walk around with to keep me steady. But in the house, there's all kinds of things I can hang on to, like a doorway, um, a chair when I'm walking by. I'll reach out and grab a hold of the chair to keep myself steady. And that part of it is because I'm taking some medicine, Lyrica or something like that, for the pain. And boy, let me tell you, it makes my legs feel a lot better, but it makes my head feel like I'm on a roller coaster or something. My head goes round and round and round and round. I don't drive anymore. I haven't driven in 2 years, but and I go this Thursday. This coming, no, I'm sorry, on the 7th of July. I go to have stents taken out. Back about 6 months ago, I had stents put in my liver, kidney, bladder, and pancreas. And I went to the hospital one day and I told the doctor, I says, I think I got a broken foot because it hurts like mad. And it was all swollen up. And it was a lady doctor from India. And, my foot was so swollen up that the skin was expanding and it was like smooth, you know. And she looked at my foot and she says, "How long have you had shiny skin?" And I said, "Ever since I broke my foot." Well, she walked away and they x-rayed my foot, and then they immediately took me back to two different labs and did ultrasound on my legs for blood flow. And they come back and said, "We're going to have to put a stent in your leg because you've got bad circulation in your left leg. Well, it's my right leg that bothers me, not my left leg. And I said this to the doctor, and he says, uh, I'm going to have to put a stent in your leg. And I said, this is bullshit. Well, I don't know if you know it or not, but they keep a record of everything that happens when you go see the doctor, and they write it up on a chart. And you can go look at that chart on the internet. And he put that in the chart, exactly what I said. Well, I went to my family doctor about a week later. I was expecting him to say something like, that wasn't nice to say. But he read it, and he never made a comment about it at all. But it took him 3 hours to tell me I did not have a broken foot. 3 hours. And in the meantime, they were doing all this other stuff. Well, that trip to the hospital cost over $55,000. Just for that one trip, and I was there for 3 hours. Didn't even get a meal, I mean, if they would have given me a meal, I would have chalked that up as, inflation and restaurant prices. But I don't know. I'm feeling great. I really am. I'm feeling great. I'm not going to be dying anytime soon. And if I do, there won't be any more videos on here, I don't think. But I had one subscriber sent me a message saying, "Where have you been? We haven't seen you in a long time," meaning as a commenter on their channel. And I can't find it now to reply to it. I don't know where it went. I don't remember. I know it didn't come by email. Maybe it did. Maybe that's why I can't find it on YouTube. But it was Off-Grid Desert Farming with Paul and Adrian. And I tell you, he's in Arizona. Used to live in Florida, moved to Arizona. If you want to hear the news of what's going on over in Ukraine and Russia and all that, and you want to see the truth of the news and hear his commentary on the news, then you need to go and watch that channel. He's a very honest man. Him and his wife are both ordained ministers, and they're not selling nothing. They're not selling Bibles. They're not selling tracts or nothing like this. You don't get hooked into registering here to watch the videos and listen to the news. It's just a truth channel. I've been watching them for years, and they're well worth watching because everything that he says, he shows proof of what he's saying from news articles overseas. And his name is Paul, and he looks like a hippie from the 60s, but he's really a cool guy. If I didn't know any better, when I first saw him, I thought he was Wolfman Jack, but he's not. I used to like Wolfman Jack. He was, I don't know if he's still alive or not. But he used to do radio programs at night where he would play the top hits and stuff like this. And I think he was on YouTube once or twice, I think. But I've been thinking about the disc jockeys from back in the 60s that aren't around anymore. Like Casey Kasem. Casey Kasem used to be a afternoon or nighttime disc jockey radio program. He'd play all the hits and he'd tell you what was going on in the music industry and stuff like this. And I actually heard his program on the radio about a week ago. Um, I guess they're playing his old shows or something, but from what I could tell, it sounded like it was recent programs. I don't know. I listened to it for a long time to see if there was something current that he would mention, but I didn't hear anything current from him. But there was one guy in New York on WENY radio, and he did a nighttime show. Yeah, Casey Kasem. He was a major program in the evenings. But this Stephen Christie, I used to go to the radio station. It was up on the sixth floor of the Mark Twain Hotel in Elmira, and you walk in the door, and you were like in a waiting room, and there was this great big, huge picture window that you could look in and see the whole control room and the person who was talking on the radio and everything. And I used to sneak up there at night, and every once in a while, he'd leave the outside door unlocked. They locked it like 6 o'clock at night when all the secretaries went home. But he would leave it unlocked for me so I could come in and sit down and talk with him, and while he's playing music and stuff. And he taught me a lot about radio. Um, and then one day I was talking to my girlfriend, and she says, "Do you know what Steve Christie's real name is?" And I said, "Well, I thought it was Steve Christie." She says, "No, it's Stephen Grabowski." And I says, "How do you know?" And she says, "Because I know this jockey at a different radio station." And that's what he told me. So the next time I went to WENY, I went in and I'm looking at all the licenses in frames hanging on the wall. And sure enough, there was one there for Stephen Grabowski. So I asked him if that was his real name. And he says, "Yes, but don't tell anybody." He says, I don't like to be hassled at home on the telephone by teenagers calling me up and saying, "When you go to work, would you play this song?" He said, "I get enough of that at night." So he went by the name of Stephen Christie, or Steve Christie, I should say. And I was thinking about him the other day, and I'm sure that he's probably passed away a long time ago, because that was back in the 60s, 63 and 64. And he was probably in his 50s at that time. But, there's a lot of stuff from the past that you think about and remember, boy, those were the good old days. And then there's a really good farming web channel called Living Traditions Homestead. And they recently, within the past year or year and a half, bought a big farm. Now, they were living on a farm and they bought a bigger one. So now they're living both places. And they moved all their cows to the bigger farm. And they're doing things like redoing fences, rearranging fences, and stuff like this. And they go out and sell at farmers markets. And they they got a giant greenhouse, and just a husband and wife, and they really have a wonderful thing going on there at their farm. They're in the Ozarks, a wonderful family. They've got two children that are, I guess one of them is going away from home, uh, and the other one is in college. So, and I sit here and I wonder, I watch these homesteading shows and I wonder how in the hell are they making money, enough money to go out and buy a new house or have a house built and feeding all their animals and just being farmers at home without another day job where they make, maybe $1,000 a week or something like that. But they're buying these big Kubota tractors, um, building new homes and stuff like this. And I'm imagining that they're doing this off the farmers market profits that they're making. But I can't visual. I mean, I can visualize it. I just can't imagine it. That's a lot of tomato plants and pepper plants we putting in the ground. But and then there's another good channel. This guy will teach you everything you need to know about any kind of vegetable, and I'm serious, any kind of vegetable, or uh, like fruit trees, apple trees, peaches, pears, plums, stuff like this. And it's Daisy Creek Farms. He bought 20 acre, he's from India, and he bought a 20-acre area farm and he turned it into a farm. He has hundreds and hundreds of varieties of all kinds of plants in the ground. Yeah, mine are too. Mine haven't grown since I put them in the ground. And I don't know what the deal is because if they were in shock, they should have been out of shock by now. I've got some Thai red pepper plants. I had one plant, got about 6 red peppers off of it. And then I found out that from this guy from India, you're not supposed to leave your produce on the plant to let it get ripe. You're supposed to, like tomatoes, for example. If you see a tomato starting to turn red, pick it and take it in the house. Because once they turn red, they're ripe. And what they do is they send a signal back to the plant saying, okay, I'm ripe, I got seeds, and I can grow more plants. And that plant dies. Um, you're supposed to pick them early. And when you do, when you pick that tomato that's red, if it has sent that signal back to the plant saying, okay, I've got seeds, I can grow more plants next year, then that plant dies. But if you take it off before it gets fully ripe, then the plant does not get that signal. So it keeps on making more and making more until it can make one that'll be ripe on the vine and send the signal back saying to stop. And you can dig your tomato plants up at the end of the season and put them in 5-gallon buckets, take them in the house, and they'll keep growing all winter long and producing more tomatoes. So that the next year you can just set them back in the ground again. And I also learned about tomatoes that the suckers that people usually break off the plant. You got your main plant coming up, and then you got your limb coming off to the side, and then you'll have a thing growing up out of the side, out of the center of those two. That's called a sucker. Well, if you break those off, most people just throw them away. But if you take them and put them in water, set them up in a window where they get sunshine, in 2 weeks they've got roots, and you can plant those as another tomato plant to keep propagating more and more tomato plants. And it's really interesting. Um, and that guy from India is at Daisy Creek Farms. He's certified as a um, organic growing farm where everything is organic. He uses no chemicals. He has learned how to take the different things like um, lime and all this other stuff to put around his plants to make his pH of the soil properly and grow the biggest possible vegetables that he can grow. He has some huge, and I mean huge, uh, what were the cucumbers? If I no, they were squash, and they were about 24 inches long and about that big around. And he tapped on one of them. He says, "It's as hard as a rock." He left two of them out in the field so they would get that way, so he could cut them open and get the seeds out of them. And he actually takes them in the house, puts them on a counter, cuts it open, and shows you all the seeds inside these squash. It's amazing. I mean, you know, I didn't feel good enough to go out and plant anything in the garden this year, except I planted a couple squash plants, well, from seed, and some cucumbers, and I got 4 tomato plants. And that's what that's what I got planted this year in my garden. And I know my cucumber plants are gonna, if they grow like they're supposed to, they're gonna overrun the squash plants because I got an area about 4 foot by 4 foot that I tilled up, and I got a tiller that goes real shallow, only goes about that deep. But once you go that deep, you move that dirt out of the way, and you can go that deep again. But I got it really loosened up so that I could plant carrots in there, and the ground would be soft enough that they'd be able to grow as deep as they want to. So anyway, so what have you got going besides tomatoes? Have you got any corn growing this year? AG Wild, wake up. Come on, bud. Have you got any corn growing this year? If you do, oh, popcorn. Okay, my wife's grandfather used to have a farm, and he had. Okay, very good. I'll give you time to type. No problem. I just wasn't sure if you were still with me or not. Um, but my wife's grandfather had a farm back in the old days, and he had a mule that he used to plow with. And he was plowing. It was a really hot summer day in Georgia, and he was plowing next to the corn, and it was so hot out that the corn started popping. And the mule walked over and laid down in the popcorn and froze to death. Now I can't figure out how that happened. I mean, I know mules are dumb, but how dumb can you get? And the reason the camera is shaking is because it's a camera on my laptop, and I got the laptop sitting on my lap. So when I giggle or something, the camera shakes a little bit. And I've never grown any corn. Um, I don't know if it would grow out here in my yard or not, but I'd like to try it sometime. At least sweet corn to get that corn and bring it in and blanch it in the kitchen and then throw it in the freezer. We did that one year. Uh, we didn't grow it, but we went out and bought some fresh corn right off the stalks and brought it home and blanched it. Boil in water, drop it in there for about 2 minutes, and then take it out, and then put it in bags, and you can freeze it. And that was delicious. But we only did it one year. And this past year, uh, we made some pickles. We made about 16 jars. I can show you. I got to turn the camera here. Well, the keyboard over here is sitting on top of a couple jars to keep the grow light off of them. But then down under that is a full case of pickles. And, I'm about the only one in the house that eats pickles. My son loves them. But my wife, she doesn't eat them, like I do. And the same with onions. Boy, I could sit here and eat onions all day long. And I started eating onions because there was a YouTube channel that the person said, if you eat a lot of onions, it'll help the swelling go down in your legs. So I started eating onions and I got to like them a lot. So, you know, when I snack, I usually snack on onions. But, you know, I'm a city boy. I'm not from New York City, but I'm from upstate New York. And I've been down here in South Carolina for about 35 years around all the farming communities and stuff like that. And I never really learned a lot about gardening and stuff like that. Well, hi, Jack. Good evening, my friend. Welcome back. Yeah, I've been off for about 2 years, I guess you could say. Um, I just lost interest in talking about gardening. Well, Jack, no, I don't remember you, but you're welcome to my channel. And I've been on and off sick for the last 2 years and haven't really felt like getting on to YouTube. And I still grow moringa, yes sir. I've got 2 moringa trees in pots out on a table in the backyard. And I still grow it. I still eat it. I still drink moringa tea every morning. And it actually has helped. Um, when I first got moringa, um, I had a lot of problems with asthma and different things like that. And it actually helped the symptoms of asthma go away. Um, I'm trying to think. I was having some other problems and I don't remember what they were. But the moringa does help. It will definitely help you. Um, you flavor it with honey when you're making moringa tea. You put some honey in it for sweetener, and you want to be careful preparing it because you don't want the temperature to get over 102 Fahrenheit. It's 102 degrees Fahrenheit because if it goes higher than 102 degrees, it will actually draw some of the nutrition out and you won't get that nutrition. Um, yes, I did do that overnight video of the moringa trees growing and the moringa trees moving around, touching each other and stuff like that, and going to sleep and then waking up. Yeah, that was a fun video to make. I don't have any moringa growing in the house. Like I say, I do have 2 plants outdoors growing, 2 moringa trees, and they're probably about 2 or 2.5 feet tall. Uh, they got stunted because they're in flower pots. If I would take them out of the flower pot and put it in the ground, they would grow to 6 or 7 feet tall in my short growing cycle. Yes, I do smoke. In fact, I'm going to light one right now. You know, I lost the hearing, all the hearing in my left ear and half in my right ear. And I went to an ear specialist one time. And I mean, he checked me from one end to the other. Kool-Aid? Yeah. Well, what I do and what you can do is I usually let the tea cool down to room temperature before I drink it. But you can take it and put it in the refrigerator and, take it out just like Kool-Aid and drink it. Yes, I tried to do a couple streams and, when I got done, I canceled them and they never ended up on YouTube. But I've been sick for about 2 years. Uh, Complications from diabetes and this kind of stuff, which, the sicknesses that I had were not life threatening or anything. I just didn't have any energy or anything like that. It was not serious, but it was like I didn't have the energy to come in here and get on the computer and make YouTube videos. I mean, I've been watching videos every night, the same channels that I normally watch. And now I'm doing good, except I've got some, what do they call it? Neuropathy in my feet. And it hurts to walk. Sometimes I walk with a cane. If I go out someplace where we're going to go, walk around like Walmart or grocery store, something like that, um, I get into the store with a crutch, and then I got the shopping basket to hold on to. So, uh, and I'm sure this is just a temporary thing. The doctor gave me some medicine last week to take for neuropathy, and it has helped tremendously. Plus, my family doctor told me to start wearing support socks, and because my legs swell up from the knees down to my feet, and I got to put my shoes on with a shoehorn. They're size 11 shoes, and I usually wear size 9 or 9.5. And I had to go to size 11 because my feet were swelling up. And when you hear me walk through the house, you can tell I got big shoes on because they clump when I go through the house like they're falling off when I pick my foot up. They're not really falling off, but um, it's what it sounds like. Somebody wearing shoes that are too big for them. But, there's one thing about diabetes that I don't understand, and that is uh, the test for what they call A1C levels. I can't figure that out to save my life. It shows nobody online with me right now, but that isn't necessarily correct, I've found. But, I got my sugar levels down to where they're really low in the mornings, like anywhere around 70 to 80, 60, 60 to 80. And that's a lot better than what it used to be. And it's been that way for months. And I went to the doctor. He did a blood test for my A1C levels, and they come back and says they're way high. So I don't know what to do because the only thing I can do to get my A1C level down is to quit eating. And then if I quit eating, I'm going to get sicker, and that'll be it. Well, it looks like everybody's gone. Is there anybody left online with me? Jack or AJ Wild, anybody? Because it's showing me 0. Okay. Brandon, okay. Yeah, it's not getting worse. It's staying, kind of constant and getting a little better at times. The doctors told me the more I walk, the better it'll be. And I found that's true. Because when I do go out with my wife shopping someplace and come home, my feet do feel a lot better. And across the street from my house is a ball field. I'm sure you've seen that in some of the videos. And I've been thinking about going over there and walking around the ball field probably about 3 or 4 times. It's all fenced in. Walk around it about 3 or 4 times, and that might give me enough exercise in my feet to make them better than they are right now. But I can walk and stuff. It's just, you know, your toes feel numb and the ball of your foot feels numb. The painfulness has gone away, but it's just, it's not really pain, it's numbness in my feet. So anyway, well, Brandon, what have you been up to? You got your garden this year, and how's everything been with you, my friend? I'm sitting here waiting for a response from Brandon. Okay, it shows me one person online with me. You know, the status numbers, I don't believe in them. You know, up in the top left-hand corner of my screen, it shows I've got one viewer. Now it shows I have 0 viewers and 1 thumbs up. But if you're online with me, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that somebody's here with me. And okay, now it's showing I got 1 viewer. And I don't know if YouTube is knocking people offline or what it's doing, but um, it's telling me I got 1 viewer anyway. Now it says 0 viewers. They were showing 0 viewers when Brandon sent me a text on here. And that's why I can't really uh, depend on that indicator to tell me if somebody's really online or not. Well, okay, I'm going to go now. And I'll try and get on earlier next time. And if Bonnie Seifert sees this video, Bonnie, I'm doing fine, still alive, still kicking. And Barb's doing good. She kind of gets into farming now. And I like it because, you know, that's something we can do together. I wasn't feeling good this afternoon, so I laid down. I didn't wake up till 7 o'clock tonight. And she had already been outside and started watering the garden. And they told me that she's interested in getting those cucumbers and squash out of the garden when they get ready. They haven't even, the cucumbers, they're probably up about 6 inches tall, and the squash is only about an inch or two tall. We planted late, and I don't think we're going to get any harvest out of anything this year because we probably planted too late. But we're hoping for it anyway. And Bonnie, I still remember you, and I hope you can come back and chat with me again because I like you. You're a very informative person, and you're a nice friend. And I'm going to let y'all go now. So anybody that sees this video, God bless you, and don't forget to say your prayers. Prayers are important, and you know, you can't. Well, I'm not gonna go there. But God bless you all, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye.